Hey guys, today I'm here with Steve Livezey. He's a 93 West Point graduate, and Steve was very successful in leading software engineering teams for many years, but he had an issue that we started working with, and that's he was reaching a certain level and not being able to make it into the VP and C level. So maybe you can tell me about that, Steve, because you've been very successful, but you had reached sort of that ceiling, right?
Yeah, I was a director of software engineering, and I kind of looked at it and I realized I was in the third company where I had reached a director level. I had hit a point where I had the skills to go to the next level. I had the ability to do the job, but there was something missing that I realized I obviously didn't have the skills to go get the next job. And so when I started working with Tom and CareerNerds, that was the main thing I was looking for: is how do I learn those skills of how to get the job, in addition to just being able to do it.
Looking at what you had done in the past, you were very technically proficient. You had the leadership skills, but what do you think the missing element was really about why you weren't getting that opportunity or that chance to go to that next level, to the VPC level?
Yeah, I think a lot of it had to do with image and exposure. I was always able to get the work done and lead a team, and I had very loyal teams and really tight knit groups that I had put together over the years. But I don't think my image outside of that group was always, as good as it could have been. I wasn't terribly good at marketing myself. And I think that I didn't spend a lot of time really trying to get a lot of exposure with other organizations and other people in the leadership, both inside and outside of the company. So I think that was kind of the missing ingredient that I needed to learn how to do.
Yeah, I mean, what I see, Stephen, I see this with a lot of execs, is that they're so good at doing their job. They really haven't discovered a need, or maybe felt the need, but haven't really learned how to introduce themselves to other people and expand their network. But you really embraced the process, and it was very inspirational that you took 2 weeks off of work just to do our intense networking, which is 4 weeks at least.
Right.
And what made you take those 2 weeks off, and what did it in the end give you?
Well, I had spent, I had talked to a number of your other clients, and I had heard kind of how intense that lead generation was. And I really wanted to give it the attention that it was due, and I really wanted to make the most out of it. So yeah, I took 2 weeks of vacation, and I will say, at the beginning of it, things were a little slow, and then it was just, a tidal wave of networking meetings and relationship building and everything. And it was absolutely well worth just taking that time off to focus. And that way I wasn't trying to go do my day job full time and also do the networking and lead generation. So it was absolutely the right decision I made.
I applaud you for that. One thing that I always say to people is, if you can optimize the amount of networking calls you do on a daily basis, for me, I use a number somewhere between 4 to 8 a day, not to do sort of a drip of 1 or 2 per week, but really trying to do 4 to 8 a day, something like that, then you'll get much faster to your goal. What do you think the advantage is of really doing as much networking within a compressed amount of time was for you?
I think there's a couple of things. One is I would agree that there's a kind of a critical mass of meetings that you need to hit that just to get yourself exposure out there. And I think, the more people you can talk to, the better exposure you get. But I also think that it's just a matter of practice, right? I mean, I came into this really not knowing how to network. And so just building the skill, I think, was a huge part of it. And, you get in, and some of the meetings don't go as well, but you kind of come away and you learn from them and you go try again in a half hour. And it's really that repetition and the structure you built around the meetings, I think, was a key ingredient for me being successful.
So how did you become a better networker throughout the process? How did it help you become a better networker?
I like to focus on, not just on the format of the meeting. Having an agenda is obviously a good way to kind of build structure and give you a way to frame the conversation. But I really enjoyed, meeting so many incredible people and so many incredible alumni that, you just get to know people and you get to build that relationship in the space of about 20 minutes. You get to really find out about somebody and really get some good advice and let them learn a little bit about you. That was the most fun about the process for me, is just the dozens and dozens of people that you get to meet and get to connect with, and then, maybe continue connecting with down the road.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, we spend all our lives working, right? And the people we know are the people that are in the cubicles or down the hallway. But we have to consciously look for people that are not working in our company to keep
Right.
that network alive, right?
Yeah, so that was actually a key ingredient in my networking search. One of my dilemmas at the beginning of it was I realized I really want to get, I was in the travel industry. Times were really tough in 2020. And, I was looking for a role outside of the travel industry. And I realized after spending almost 15 years in that industry, I needed to look outside of my personal network to do that. And so I realized it was essential that I go seek out people that were not in my network originally for the last several years. Now, I will say that in one aspect, my search failed completely in that I ended up finding a CTO role in the travel industry. So, another key point is set your goals, but also know where to, be flexible and, where to, let the opportunities come to you.
Yeah, exactly right. Be flexible is actually very important. What would you say was probably one or two of the most unique things that you found about working with Career Nerds that helped you?
First of all, LinkedIn to me was just an online resume. It wasn't, it was a list, it was a catalog of what I had done. The ability to focus on what I had achieved and the results of it, I think that was a good skill, and it really helped me to market myself better. And not just market myself better on LinkedIn. It was good that, when I was having the conversations, I was able to sell myself better, and I was able to promote myself, even during the networking calls with people you learn the elevator pitch, and you learn that it's not an opportunity to spew out everything you've done for the last 20 years. It's a method of getting people interested in you and starting that conversation. So I'd say the marketing skills, but then the learning how to build a conversation and start a conversation in that networking environment, those were probably the two biggest things that Career Nerds helped me with.
Yeah, and you did quite well on it, becoming a CTO, as we discussed. So what are you going to be doing now with all the networking skills that you've achieved so far? How are you going to continue networking, and what purpose are you going to have now when you're employed in your new role?
What I've realized is this goes way beyond just the job search that I originally started out with. It was great for that. Obviously, it's yielded good results. One day I'm going to be hiring people. One day I'm going to be trying to develop new business. I'm going to be working with new customers that I'm going to need to get to know people in that organization. And I know that this is a way that's going to help perpetuate that kind of career advancement, even if it's not just me looking for another job.
You're right. I mean, networking is a skill that we can use in so many ways. Once we understand how to do it, it's something that we hopefully keep doing, because, I mean, if you're only using it for finding a new job, you're going to become rusty. You probably don't change jobs more than every 3 to 5, 7 years, right? And so,
well, yeah, and I think also, not just getting rusty, but I think there's an element to it of giving back. I mean, one of the things that's always part of the conversation is what can I do to return the favor? And there are a lot of times there are ways that, people will say, hey, if you could help me with this, that would be great. If you talk to somebody and you could mention my business or, what I'm doing right now. And so I think it helps if you want to really maintain your network. You can't just always be calling people saying, hey, can you do this for me? It needs to be a give and take, and it needs to be, that's the way you're really going to build and maintain those relationships, is if it stays, fairly continuous and you're helping to give back to that community and not just asking for favors.
You're exactly right, Steve. I know personally you've helped a lot of people within the Career Nerds family, even people that I've talked to and people that we've worked with. So I want to thank you for giving back to them as well.
My pleasure.
Well, Steve, it's been great working with you. Congratulations on becoming CTO, and we will keep in touch.
Definitely. Looking forward to it, Tom.